Vinyl Collection Part 39 within this series. Still going to be all within the S's, and probably going to be on this letter for the next 3 to 4 parts. Also as well, next part obviously being part 40, that would mean that I would have somewhere around 600 records within my collection, because averagely I've been showcasing 15 records per each part. I mean, you know, sometimes I'll have like double variants of some albums. So yeah, as it stands right now, I now know I have somewhere around 600 plus records in my collection, which is quite cool from my standpoint on doing this series. But anyway, what's going to be playing in the background is going to be the debut album by Street Sex, End Position. Really hyped to see these guys later on this year, as they announced a show that they're going to be the openers for both Health and Perturbator, so that lineup seems really solid and I can't miss out on it. But one way to describe Street Sex is that they're considered like an industrial punk band, and it's a mixture of like Skinny Puppy meets Daughters. And it's just such a blast to listen to this album over and over again. Copies are still available on the Flenser, and I would highly recommend it if you just like explosive music, regardless of what the genre's categorized under. And yeah, really awesome stuff. Kicking off part 39 is going to be Schammasch with their third full-length album, Triangle. These guys are an experimental avant-garde black metal band from Switzerland, and I was really hyped for this album, considering that their previous album, Contradiction, I was a big fan of. So I was really interested to see what they would do next. And I would say this is their most ambitious out of everything they've done thus far, because it's a triple album, essentially. It's broken into 3 individual parts. The overall runtime is exactly 100 minutes long, and each part is broken down to 33 minutes and 33 seconds long. And each individual part, they kind of play around differently stylistically with their approach. Like part 1, The Process of Dying, is more like the straightforward black metal approach. Part 2, Metaflesh, which is easily the best of the 3 parts, is really where they start to be a bit more experimental, a bit more usage of like synth, and it just comes off more not really so much triumphant, but just grand in scope. It just feels so much more massive sounding, everything. Then the final part, the supernal clear light of the void, it's like all the droney ambient sections within the album, which is kind of like falling action. So basically part 1's build up, part 2 is the climax, and part 3 is like the falling action. So I don't know, part 3 I've always just kind of left in the back burner. I'm not really crazy for that specific part. But yeah, really cool how they were able to be this ambitious in some sense with an album like this. Not really the best place to start out with them. Again, I would recommend Contradiction, the album before this. But yeah, if you want just a massive sounding like black metal album, definitely check out Schammasch with Triangle. Now for the layout and packaging, it's pretty cool. It was put out through Prosthetic Records. Not sure if it's still available, but it's a triple panel set. It's a triple LP as well, and it folds out like so, so you get artwork for each individual part, which is pretty neat. And other than that, not much else, you know, really to show here, other than just credits on the other side within the gatefold, track listings on the back, and just comes on a standard black vinyl. Up next is the third full-length album by The Secret, Sauve et Cogula. Hopefully I said some of that correctly. But these guys are an Italian blackened grindcore band that I've really enjoyed quite a bit. And what I really enjoy a lot about this particular album, I would say it's their best within their discography, is that it always reminds me so much of like the kind of like hardcore version of Hatred for Mankind by Dragged Into Sunlight. It's just that very hateful, edgy, pulverizing style of music, and they did it really well with this album. And I think one thing that really enhances like that hardcore approach that's similar to that of, again, comparing it to Hatred for Mankind, is that the mixing and mastering and all the production work was done by Kurt Ballou, who is, you know, the guitarist for Converge. So you can definitely tell it's kind of rooted in the production sense within hardcore for the most part. And yeah, it's a really killer album that I think this band is just heavily slept on by a lot of extreme metal fans. So if you want just dark, angry, edgy grindcore, definitely check out The Secret. This was put out through Southern Lord, and one thing I really enjoy about Southern Lord is with their layout and packaging. The stock that they use for their jackets is always heavy duty. I mean, this album is like 10 years old and it doesn't even seem like it has a scratch on it because, again, the jacket material is just like really strong and thick. But yeah, that's just really useless information I like nerding out about. As for the rest of the layout and packaging, you have album artwork, backside with the track listings, comes with a fold-out poster of the album artwork and just information at the bottom, along with a printed inner sleeve with lyrics on one side and additional artwork on the other. And this is the limited variant that comes on gold. As well too, I have their fourth full-length album, Agnes Die. Again, The Secret putting out very angry, edgy, hateful sounding grindcore that, again, I still think is very heavily slept on. Again, mixed and mastered by Kurt Ballou, and their approach is really similar to that of the previous album, other than it's a bit more aggressive, I guess, if I'm really nitpicking the differences. There's more usage of blast beats, the vocals feel a bit higher up in the mix, that it sounds similar more to that now of Trap Them. And again, if you're a fan of either Trap Them or Converge, The Secret will definitely be right up your alley. But really not much else to say here other than, again, put it through Southern Lord, and I'm pretty sure there's still copies widely available there because I remember I got my copy on Discogs for dirt cheap, so I'm just going to assume still, since they're just so slept on, they're easy to get. But it's kind of a bummer that this is the last thing that they've done for full-length albums, as this was released in, what, 2012? And all they've done after this is a single EP that's only like 20 minutes long. So I'd love for them to continue on doing this, because whenever I'm in the mood for just angry, dark music, The Secret definitely hits the spot. But other than that, for the layout and packaging, you have album artwork, backside with all the track listings, comes with an insert sheet with lyrics on one side, additional artwork on the other, and is just on a standard black vinyl. Up next is Seeds of Iblis Anti-Quran Rituals. Now, I made a video a while back about all the controversy and mystery surrounding them, and with this video I just really want to stick to talking about the music here, because these guys are a black metal band supposedly from Baghdad, Iraq, and while the music is nothing groundbreaking, it's solid. It's just, you know, the traditional sense of black metal kind of laced together with the essence and hatred towards Islam. And whereas, you know, most black metal bands have the cliches of like anti-Christian themes, this is more of like the anti-Islamic themes, because when you have song titles on here like Behind the Horns of Allah, The Prophecy of Rape, Islamophobia, Allah is Dead, it's really kind of obnoxious as to where their stance is on the Islamic faith. And that's really the standout thing about this album. Still really solid, you know, black metal to be heard here, but that's really the standout thing about it. And one thing that's just so stupid of like what's considered controversial about these guys is that there's a 7-inch on Discogs that's blacklisted. And I'm pretty sure the people who run Discogs like have stated that it's like Islamophobic as to why they blacklisted it, and that is just such pure fucking bullshit. If you're telling me that this band is controversial because they want to target a religion that basically treats their women like property and kicks gay people off of balconies and kills them on like public grounds, fuck you, Discogs, for that, alright? Get a fucking spine, honestly. There's nothing controversial about being against bullshit like that. But anyway, again, Seeds of Iblis, Anti-Quran Rituals, really solid black metal that you guys should definitely check out. And regardless, try to ignore like the bullshit mystery that makes them kind of look cool, because I'm pretty sure for the most part they're not from Baghdad, Iraq. But anyway, for the layout on packaging here, you have album artwork, backside with the track listings, comes on a gatefold with lyrics inside, and is just on standard black vinyl. Next LP is really near and dear to my heart, considering it's one of the very first death metal albums I discovered on my own that really got me invested with getting into extreme metal, and that would be SepticFlesh, Communion. Easily for me my personal favorite within their discography, because with this album they perfectly balanced out the kind of like symphonic and death metal approaches here 50-50, and they just complement each other in the best ways possible. Songs on here like Anubis, which is such a gorgeous song, the title track Communion, Sunlight Moonlight, which is my personal favorite track, along with Lovecraft's Death, which is a great opener. And I really nerd out with that song because it's all different references to Lovecraft's stories within the lyrics within it, which is just so cool. Love this album, honestly, for me. One of my personal favorites, even within death metal itself. And this is the Crypt version of it, because I know later on, I think Season of Mist might have done like represses for this. I'm not exactly sure what label did it. But with the Crypt variant of it, it comes with the orchestral version of Anubis, and again, just gorgeous music throughout, which is really nice. But yeah, as well too, the artwork is a bit different from the original artwork utilized on this album, Communion. It's just something like this, whatever that's supposed to be, I guess. But yeah, the Crypt variant of it's really cool. As for the layout and packaging within it, you have album artwork, again spot gloss to shit. Backside with the band photo and track listings. Comes on a gatefold with lyrics and additional artwork inside. And this is the gold LP variant of it. Alright, so the next two records I'm going to breeze by through fairly quickly because it's a band that I enjoy, but there's really not much to say about them because everything sounds identical. But first up is the two-way split between Sept and God Stomper. So originally I got this on Discogs for like $5 because I had a friend at the time who was really hyping up God Stomper. And God Stomper for the most part is like really just like hard-hitting power violence with a mixture of speedcore and grindcore. Pretty good stuff, but honestly I've kept it for the Sept side because this is just ignorant, loud, obnoxious noise grind that if you think all the big names within grindcore is just, you know, chaotic and crazy, this band makes all those seem like child's play. And I'm not saying that they're better, it's just the fact that they play it so fucking fast and harsh that there's really like no rhythm, melody, or basically anything other than just noise and chaos. And it just becomes like really dumb, ignorant fun, which is what I really enjoy about these guys. But yeah, other than that, not much else to say here. You can get this on Discogs again for dirt cheap, which is how much I basically paid for it, and that's about it. So other than that, for the layout and packaging, I think it just comes with what? Yeah, an insert sheet with just song titles and credits for each band on each side, and that's about it because it just comes on a standard black vinyl. As well too, I have a full-length album by them, that being Visceral Tavern, again by Sept. Yeah, basically everything I just said in the previous record added on here. There's really not much else to add here. There's 19 tracks, every song is like 30 seconds long at the most, and it's just obnoxious, loud, harsh noise grind that's just dumb, stupid, ignorant fun. That's just the best way to describe these guys. But I got this the last time I went to Armageddon like 7 months ago, I think, and it was only $5. So when it comes to like buying Sept records, they're always going to be dirt cheap because I don't really think people actively go out and buy this stuff. Like, you would have to be a weirdo like myself to actively be like, yes, a Sept album, I'm totally gonna buy it. That's, you know, I'm one of the few that do that, I guess. But yeah, other than that, for the layout and packaging, you have album artwork, backside with the track listings, insert sheet with lyrics, which I don't know why you would add this because it's like, I don't know how you could keep up with the lyrics, but hey, they have it. And just comes on a standard black vinyl. Damn, totally forgot I had this next record right here because it's been so long since I pulled it from the shelves, but just really killer black metal from Germany. And that would be Shrine of Isanabilis, Disciples of the Void. Again, awesome black metal that even though they're from Germany, it's quite obvious that they take a lot of influence from a lot of the Finnish black metal bands. So think of, you know, Sargeist and Horna, stuff like that, just kind of attached with more of like a ritualistic, kind of like pulverizing sound, and it's just so good. Co-released by both World Terror Committee and Fallen Empire, which, God, I miss that distro and label so much. But yeah, if you want to get copies of this, pretty sure World Terror Committee still has copies available. Other than this, I think all they've done is like they put out a 7-inch that one of the members who I think watches my channel was really nice enough to send me a copy along with the shirt. So thanks again, dude, so much. But yeah, if you just want really kick-ass, powerful, kind of like ritualistic black metal, check out Shrine of Isanabilis, because these guys, again, like a lot of bands I talk about, I feel like get heavily slept on within the genre's fan base, I feel like. But yeah, other than that, for the layout and packaging, you have album artwork, backside. This comes with an A2 poster, basically of the album artwork, along with a big ass booklet that just has lyrics and more additional imagery to go along with everything, which is really cool. Backside of it has a band photo, and other than that, it just comes on a standard black vinyl. Okay, so in my defense, the next band I'm going to bring up, I'm going to say purposely wrong, because if I say it correctly, the internet will more than likely use this against me, either in a joking or negative way. So I'm just going to tiptoe over that outcome and talk about what I consider one of the greatest Mexican death metal bands that it's a shame nobody talks about, because Mexican extreme metal is so slept on by so many people, and this is what I would argue is like the best within all of Mexican extreme music, and that would be Shub Niggurath with their album The King-like Celebration, Final Aeon on Earth. Obviously the band name is after one of the many Lovecraft entities, this one being of what is considered like the nickname for as like the black goat of the woods with 1,000 heads. And seriously guys, this is evil, diabolical death metal as it can get. One way to describe it is, think of Morbid Angel's Altars of Madness, but it's just a bit more blackened in some cases, and just, it's just pure evil. This is the type of death metal that I could picture like actual demons jamming out to when they're done torturing people. It just has like that genuine evil atmosphere that it's so hard to come by now with death metal. Because I've noticed so many people that hype up death metal bands nowadays, it's all about like them caveman riffs and just that putrid sound, and it's like, as cool as that is, it's like, I want death metal that just sounds evil. Like, this is meant for like demons and the devil himself, and this band brought that essence forward with this debut album right here, and it's a bummer that it's so slept on by so many people. So if you're a death metal fan, you don't know this album, damn, that's all I gotta say, you are fucking up so much. That's like the simplest way I can put it. But yeah, the latter half of this album, the final 2 tracks, are so glorious because they start incorporating keyboards into the sound, and it just makes it all the more melodic and sinister sounding. But yeah, it's a bummer that they were only able to make 2 full-length albums, this being the debut right here, and then like 15 some odd years later they made a follow-up, which is, I mean, decent, but it doesn't hold a candle to this. But again, as I'm repeating myself, if you want to get into Mexican extreme metal, get to know this fucking album already, because it's just like bulletproof, hard as steel, evil death metal, and it's awesome. But anyway, for the layout and packaging here, you have album artwork, backside with a band photo and track listings on the bottom. This includes a fold-out poster of the album artwork, along with an insert sheet with more additional band photos, lyrics on the other side, and just comes on a standard black vinyl. And for even more cult-like extreme metal that gets a lot of praise, but instead of from Mexico, this is all the way in Japan, would be the one and only Sigh with their debut album, Scorn Defeat. these guys are so incredible, and it sucks on my part that this is the only album I have on LP as of right now within their discography. But I would say if you are a black metal fan and you look for more of the traditional sense of black metal and you want to get into Sigh, Scorn Defeat is the best place to start, because it's really their most normal sounding album within their catalog. Because when you get to like the mid-era and later era, like everything past the millennia of 2000, I really don't know anymore what Sigh actually even is, because they experiment so much that they're not just a black metal band anymore, and I would love to get more of their material, but it's hard to come by. But when I saw that the Crypt, I'm pretty sure, is the distro that put this out and did a repress for it, bought this up immediately, because again, when it comes to the LP variant, Sigh's material is really hard to come by. And I think what got them a lot of attention in their, you know, overall pace of like notoriety rolling is that Euronymous wanted to sign them on Deathlike Productions when, you know, he was obviously still alive. And I think that's what garnished them a bit more of a following. But again, their approach to black metal is always very creative. And Scorn Defeat, really good black metal overall. Not their best by any shot. I mean, there's far superior within their catalog. But again, if you want to get into them, Scorn Defeat is the best place to start. Now, as for the layout and packaging here, you have album artwork, backside with the track listings and band photos, comes on a gatefold with lyrics and more additional photography in there. And this LP edition comes on semi-translucent orange, limited to 500 copies. And once again, just like how I described Sept, these next two records I'm going to breeze by through fairly quickly because there's not much to discuss with them, but again, it's in the realms of noise grind, which obviously is Sissy Spacek with their album Fathom. For me personally, this is my personal favorite release within their catalog, which isn't saying much considering that I haven't heard much, and their discography is like, again, over 150 releases. Most of it is in the realms of power electronics and noise. That's what they mostly do, and they'll release something new like every 3 months or so. But Fathom is where they became more of like that noise grind approach that, you know, takes a lot of influence of that of bands like Fear of God, basically, is one way to put it. And other than that, there's not much to say here. It's just loud, obnoxious, harsh noise grind that I always laugh when I put on this record because it's named Sissy Spacek after the actress that played in Carrie, and then she started making like country music later on in her life. When you search up Sissy Spacek, you'll get her, but you scroll down a little bit more, and then you get this. And I just find that so funny. But yeah, if you want just loud, obnoxious, brain-shattering, damaging noise grind, definitely check out Sissy Spacek with Fathom, because this stuff is more intense than a majority of war metal bands, to put it lightly. And you can get this pretty easily on Helicopter Records, the distro owned by one of the members here, because you can get it for like 10 bucks without it breaking a sweat. But yeah, other than that, for the layout and packaging, there's like literally nothing to show other than the front side with the album artwork, back side with more additional artwork, and just comes on a standard black vinyl. Right after that, I have the follow-up, that being Ways of Confusion, again by Sissy Spacek. Musically and production-wise, it's identical to what I just showed, but the standout thing about this release is that it's put out through Nuclear War Now, which I would just not expect that label and distro to put out something like this, because they're more focused on, like, you know, death metal, black metal, and, you know, the Black Death hybrid types of bands. So for them to put out like this noise grind release for Sissy Spacek is quite the shocker for me. But if you want to get this release, go to Nuclear War Now, because it's probably more than likely still in print. It's limited to 1,000 copies, and with me showing the fact that I bought this, that means there's still probably another 999 more copies still available. But yeah, again, if you want this loud, obnoxious noise grind, definitely check out Sissy Spacek because it's just loads of fun. As for the layout and packaging here, you have album artwork, backside. Comes with an insert sheet with track listings on one side. Other side is just all of their releases that you can find on Helicopter Records. And the LP variant comes on gold. The last 3 records are all by the same band, and I started off with their debut EP, that being Skáphe. I've heard some people say that it's Skáphe, but for the sake of this, I'm just going to call it Skáphe. These guys are a blackened death metal band, but what makes them quite the standout compared to the other blackened death metal bands that are more on like the aggressive side of it is that this is the only extreme metal band that blends those styles together that also has influence of that of like psychedelic within it, and it's quite unique. Because I remember reading somewhere in an interview, it's from one of the members, I forget if it's the vocalist or the guitarist, that when he writes Skáphe music, he'll be under the influence of that, of like either LSD or shrooms, and it makes for something really wild and psychotic for this style of music that you just don't really come across all that much. And I gotta give it up to Skáphe for like shaking things up within the whole realms of like blackened death metal. Really killer stuff. But yeah, other than that, as to where I got this, again, Fallen Empire, but that label and distro has been inactive now for the past like 5 years, so you know, I don't know where else you can get this other than Discogs. But for the layout and packaging within this, it's pretty simplistic. You have album artwork, backside with the track listings, and this LP comes on like a very dark red marble color variant. Then I have the debut full-length album by Skáphe. I think this is Skáphe 1 or Skáphe 2 is the name of it. And really here, I think they amplify everything with their approach. It's more pulverizing, it feels still more psychedelic, and the death metal aspect about them is really fleshed out more. That I would say within the 3 releases that I have, I'm not sure if they've done anything more after it, this is the place to start out with them. And it was one of my favorite albums when it was released, either 2015 or 16. That again, for this style of music is quite unique because you just don't come across like psychedelic blackened death metal bands. It's just killer stuff. Again, put out through Fallen Empire, and I don't know where you can get this other than Discogs. And one thing I'm really bummed out about is that originally when I got this, it came with incense candles, or sticks rather, I shouldn't say candles, but yeah, incense sticks, and my ex-girlfriend at the time used them without my permission, so they're not in with the original packaging anymore, and that just, it irks me so much. But anyway, with the layout and packaging here, you have album artwork, backside. Comes with an insert sheet, not much to see there. Plain black on the back, so it just kind of seems like a waste of paper. And the LP variant is similar to that of the previous one, which is again of like this really dark red marble color. This being limited to 300 copies. And the final release I have by them within my collection is the follow-up EP, again just titled Skáphe. Now I'm realizing right now that they actually have a follow-up release to this, which is they did a split with Wormlust, and if memory serves me right, Skáphe is actually like an international extreme metal band because it has members from the United States, along with members, I think, overseas, again, in the Icelandic region. So if you enjoy a lot of like the Icelandic black metal bands, like again, Wormlust, Svartdauði Dowdy, which again, hopefully I say that somewhat right, and Misslurming, bands like that, but you want like the psychedelic approach of that, like claustrophobic, cavernous sound, Skáphe does it very, very well. And it's a huge reason as to why I've been just buying up everything that they release. Still haven't gotten around to getting the two-way split with Wormlust, but that one's really easily available to get, so I'm not really bending over backwards for it just yet. But all their standalone releases sell out pretty quickly, so that's kind of the reason why I have these. But this EP right here, for the most part, they're just continuing on what they've already done. Still like that, again, psychedelic, trippy, eviscerating Black Death sound. And there's not much else to say with it other than if you're familiar with them, you'll understand what I mean by the description there. But other than that, for the layout and packaging, again, it's pretty bare bones. You just got album artwork, backside. This LP edition is just single-sided, so there's dead wax on one and just the grooves on the other, and as you can plainly tell, it's more on like this blood red variant. Alright guys, that'll do it for this vinyl collection part. Like always, links provided to everything I talked about will be in the description below, and that is that. So like always guys, make sure you guys drink plenty of water to stay hydrated, and have a great day.